All right, guys, it's time for our final matchup of the round of 8. This is going to be a rematch from last season. Last time around, OyA got the best of Mr. Gypsy over here, and he's looking for revenge. And I think this time around, he's got a good shot because if you've been watching his stream, he's really upped his game. But of course, OyA, no slouch, and I think his PvT is one of the hardest to face. I've been a big proponent of, actually Arbiter Carrier, and how he plays it is very, very strong. I think it's going to be very hard for Gypsy to deal with because you actually don't see it that often on the ladder.
Yeah, and I know Gypsy really wants to win this time around after those games last season. And I know Gypsy watches OyA and he's very familiar with how he plays. And he just says it's a hard style to counter as Terran because Protoss really difficult when they go Arbiter into Carrier. But Gypsy, if you know anything and if you've been watching him, yeah, he's leveled up significantly. Finally has some more tournament experience under his belt, which I think is the biggest factor. Less of nerves in these big matches. And he did just play a show match against one of the Chinese players, J-Star. And Gypsy, if you didn't see that, really showed like how strong he is at this moment right now.
Yeah, he's really good. I would favor him a little bit in this matchup, but like I said, this style is very hard to deal with, and because you don't get much practice, I mean, you can study as many rush VODs as you want, as many light VODs as you want. They don't face this. They just don't. So I think OyA has a good shot, but I'm going to favor its flash a little bit here in this series. I think it would be very close, like 3-2. I don't think we're going to see a blowout 3-0, but yeah, this is going to be very exciting, and we do know what the map picks and vetoes are. Zero informed me that it's actually going to be Vertebrae banned from Gypsy, and I think Revolver was OyA's ban. So that leaves the map that I despise the most of, which is Heartbreak Ridge, and I'm wondering when OyA is going to make that selection.
Yeah, so Heartbreak Ridge and Asik are actually pretty good for Protoss, especially the style OyA likes to play. So those are two tough maps right off the bat for Gypsy. Ascension, much better for Terran. Good Night, it's pretty good. Either way, maybe slightly Protoss favorite. And what's the last map? Wavelet? I think Gypsy
Wavelet
likes Wavelet. So
yeah, Wavelet to me looks like Circuit Breakers, but you've got a third cast instead of the middle only. Yeah, I feel like this is a good Terran map. So first map, do we have the first map picked? I don't think. Oh, it's going to be Ascension. So, as you pointed out, we just saw Gypsy play versus J-Star. And the game versus J-Star, I mean, he won that game on Ascension. And he looks very, very comfortable on that map. So, he's going to have a decent shot there. But likewise, we were talking about how hard it is for OyA style, or how hard it is to deal with OyA style on Aztec and Heartbreak Ridge. I mean, if you can get critical mass carriers on Ascension, it's equally hard there. There's a lot of, high ground all over the map. It is hard to engage carriers. So again, I think OyA's got a good shot on this particular map. And also, mains are completely wide open, so drop play could end the game or be devastating damage for one side or the other.
all right, so we see OyA always like this 4 BSLs in a row where he's in the round of 8. Even got to the semifinals twice. And Gypsy, last BSL, he did pretty well, got pretty far. Unfortunately, he fell out third in his group, and if I remember correctly, that was actually a pretty stacked group with OyA, Koget, Gypsy, and someone I'm forgetting right now. But yeah, I gotta agree with you. I think Gypsy is gotta be a slight favorite, if not a bigger favorite here. But I will say, if Gypsy loses game 1, I think OyA is going to win the series. It's just something about the mental state of Gypsy not being the most stable really affects him. So, but we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a really good match.
Yeah, well, seeing this screen means our players are ready. So let's get into game 1. It's going to be Flash versus Spider-Man. Who's going to make it out and round out our round of 4? So in the top middle, getting the dream spawn, according to Scan, because of the efficient mining, it is Gypsy.
And in the bottom left, we have OyA.
Yep, OyA in the mid left. So if this was somebody like Moneth, who, you know, loves to go drops, I think that this is pretty much a dream spawn for Gypsy, because if you think about shuttle pathway to the main, I mean, it's not not exactly the most direct, and it doesn't come from the southern angle that great. So I think Gypsy's going to be okay dealing with drops. And actually, I'm trying to think, is OyA somebody that loves Reaver? Like, really, whenever I watch OyA, I can't even really focus on whether he plays Reaver. I'm just always thinking about, okay, this guy loves Arbiters and Carriers.
Yeah, so from what I remember, OyA really likes to mix it up, and this is Tolnex. He really likes to mix it up in the early game. So we'll see a lot of board gateways, a lot of proxies, and we'll see a lot of 12 knights. Like, OyA is not one to go for an in-between build. He really, when he commits to an opening, he goes for it. So we see a Nexus first opening up right away, and Gypsy, this is a 3-player map, so Gypsy will be able to scout it, and from what I've seen, Gypsy is not one to bunker rush 12 knights.
Well, we'll see about that, because actually I think he is one to bunker rush, but maybe he's changed his style lately. I know, a lot of players are on record saying you better bust them, otherwise 12 Nexus is just going to run away with it. And, there was a game that Gypsy played on stream like quite a long time ago, like maybe a year and a half ago, versus Rain. And Rain got away with a 12 Nexus on Benzine. And this guy...
Okay, I remember that. Yeah,
he maxed out on 11 minutes, and he had stasis at 11 minutes.
And he also had 5 bases, so...
Yeah, he had 5 bases. So Terran had like 120 supply, and to say Gypsy got murdered was an understatement. So I think you kind of have to bust the 12 Nexus. But we'll see if Gypsy will let it get up and running. I mean, you don't have to. You can go into a mine expand, try and get greedy, and maybe hide a third base or go for super fast upgrades. We'll see how he wants to respond to it.
Yeah, I remember the exact game you're talking about. So it was Benzine, Rax expand against Nexus first, and Rain takes a third without Goon range. And it just, like, the way it leads into the mid game was actually insane. Just the strongest 11-minute max with stasis and 5 bases. And Gypsy's just taking his third. He's working on 2-1, doesn't have it yet, and just gets overrun. But we do see the 2 gateway follow-up. We actually see Gypsy just going out with the Marine. So this is only 1 on gas. Factory about to be complete. And, I mean, it is a 2 gateway follow-up, so it's not super greedy from OyA here. First Vulture in production.
Yeah, he is building a lot of Marines. I think he's up to his 4th one right now. He's even building the Vulture. So this is going to be a pull. But if he's going to pull, he needs to pull pretty soon. Now that SE going into the mineral line might be it right there. Zealot and Probe are going to intercept these Marines. Okay, but it's on high ground. So actually this Zealot can trade pretty decently, and especially decently if he's going to get one-on-one with that top Marine. And here comes that pull. You can see the line coming right now. Oh, the Vulture got blocked off.
Okay, maybe the Vulture's gonna go chase that Zealot, and if he could kill that Zealot right away, it would actually be a lot. Okay, he is gonna snipe that Zealot. It's actually pretty huge. Can the Zealot actually engage any of the Marines and get some pot shots off? Looks like no. The Zealot's gonna die for free, and we have 4 Marines. This looks like 8, 9 SCVs, and the Vulture coming. Only 1 Zealot here. No shield battery. First Dragoon is out.
Oh, the SCVs are no longer drilling, and the Vulture is going to get picked off, and now it's just Marines with SCVs trying to body block, but there still are a lot of Marines. The Goon gets caught! I can't believe it, one of the most slippery units in the game. That means that Goon's gone. Zealot is almost dead too, and now this bunker should get up, and he's lost a lot of probes too. This bunker is in a nice placement where, oh my god, that Goon might actually fall down, and that means that Gypsy could potentially just try and bust into the main.
You see the Dragoons without range is terrible at engaging against the Marines. Bunker will get up, and this is in a nice position where any additional probes made from this Nexus will just die right away. And I thought with the Vulture dying right away, Gypsy's attack was completely defended, but he managed to get that 1 Dragoon trapped somehow with, I'm not even really sure how it happened.
Well, I have to say that Gypsy did pull quite a few SCVs, and you can see that he's lost a lot of them. So I don't know who got the better end of the trade. Obviously, he's going to lose the Nexus, but I think OyA saved more probes, and you can see the nice Marine control right here, trying to buy as much time. He can't lose that Vulture, though. That gives you a lot of control with the mines. The Nexus?
Oh, low Dragoon. He's targeting the low Dragoon. Okay, that's... Yeah. Okay, to allow him to finish or continue repairing the bunker.
Needs to repair.
Oh, the mine!
He kills. He might actually save this Nexus now. It's so low. He's going to focus it down with the Marines and the SCVs. Okay, he is going to get it just barely, but razor thin save right there. And OyA G, okay, I thought he might try and trigger that mine into the SCVs, but nice trade right there. Gypsy gets the Nexus, and he's going to now start his own command center.
I mean, that was usually, although 12 Nexus openers lead to this, that was actually a lot crazier than normal. Everything from the Vulture being trapped to the Dragoon and the Nexus just barely dying. That's a lot of stress in the early game, but the game will stabilize now. Gypsy unfortunately lost one of the Vultures, so he doesn't have a lot of mines here on the map, only has the one. Wasn't able to lay any mines at the third or other expansions, and he did, like, how many probes do you think he got before OyA retreated? Maybe like 4 or 5, so that was a significant amount of economic damage done to OyA G there.
Yeah, but also Gypsy pulled a lot of SCVs, and he lost the majority of his SCVs too. So I think actually OyA G might have slightly more workers right now, but maybe not. It's definitely very close. Regardless, I like the mine positioning from Gypsy. He's got one at the third base, he's got one at that middle position, and that's going to delay the third base for quite some time. I also like this random Vulture at top right. He's scouting for proxy shenanigans. Also, he may just leave it up here, try and like patrol back and forth and catch a shuttle coming in, because, you know, common follow-up is going to be Reaver. Now this is going to be observer follow-up, and if you've been watching Gypsy stream, he's talked about TVP where, like, when you see observer, instantly take your third base. But because of how the game state has floated, him being on one factory, I don't know if we'll see a fast third base coming in from him.
Only one factory, taking a second gas out, getting the armory. OyA G, I mean, this is going to be, by the time it gets to Gypsy's base, like 8 minutes. So pretty late observer, which is normal for 12 Nexus, especially when you go for the 2 gateway follow-up. Gypsy does have siege. Sometimes there's an opening here where Terran doesn't have siege, but with siege and a nice SimCity at the front, it's going to be pretty hard for OyA G to bust unless Gypsy just retreats everything into his main. It's like the Vultures are scouting, though. They are going to get picked off, unfortunately, there. And it looks like no third for OyA G quite yet. Looks like he just looked there on the map, so he's going to send a probe there.
Yeah, so he built a ton of Dragoons, and unfortunately for him, they're not going to benefit him at all right now. He is obviously going to have map control with them, but he's definitely not going to get into the natural here. We can see that a bunker is being built, so maybe he can take down the bunker, and that's probably just it. Well, bunker completes, and now he's going to actually get the bunker, so that's a loss of 100 minerals, but he trades a goon for it. But it's still okay, because behind this we do see the third Nexus, and I don't think we're going to see a Reaver follow-up, because that just doesn't strike me as OyA G's type of style.
Yeah, no third Nexus, third gateway, still no Citadel, so really powering here on these goons. And Gypsy's gonna go into upgrades. He's getting an academy now. The armory +1 started, and OyA finds a gap in the turret defense, and he's gonna see everything now.
Well, so far only 3 factories have been shown. This is a pretty common follow-up when you do a bust like this. Obviously you're low in unit counts, you got to catch up somehow. So this doesn't indicate like, oh, this is 100% going to be a 6 fact or something. This does look pretty normal. Also, the observer spots the starport at the natural, so everything looks just like typical 2-1 Terran. And we do see actually a lot of gateways going up. It's 6 plus Citadel, and that means that OyA G with these goons may be intending to bust this third base.
Yeah, normally you don't make this many gateways, you just stay on 4 maximum. It looks like there's a window here to snipe maybe a couple of tanks. Looks like 1 tank goes down with no goon losses. It's actually huge for OyA G. Gypsy doesn't have a lot of production right now, so every unit he can kill here before Gypsy can ramp up is gonna hurt him when he's gonna go try to take that third base eventually. And we have Vulture with speed finally out on the map. There's a science facility, there's the second armory, so everything looking standard from Gypsy. There's a third command center, and I think he's gonna have a pretty tough time eventually taking this because he's still only on the 3 factories.
Yeah, no, those goons caught one vulture, but they may be unaware that there's 2 more out in the map. Third base looks exposed. I didn't see a forge anywhere. I didn't see, yeah, they are exposed. There's no goons. And that means he's going to start racking up these kills. And there was the Stargate in the main of OyA. This looks like it's going to be the Arbiter follow-up, but if he goes into a couple more, this could be carriers. There's the Templar Archive too, so everything does point to that Arbiter. Now there's another Vulture run by coming into the natural, and there's another exposed base. He can even set up mines here, and this is how Gypsy can even up the score.
Yeah, this is where Gypsy really shines with his Vulture movement, his harassment, and OyA does have Observer's position to see Vulture movement, but just not on top of the mini-map, and it looks like 7, 8 probes maybe went down there, and Gypsy just buying himself time, getting a lot of damage done here to OyA. Looks like the Dragoon's finally cutting off the Vulture path, and there we finally do see Gypsy has a sizable amount of tanks. He's got to be careful pushing up a high ground. Looks like OyA's gonna go in. Gypsy retreating right away, planting mines at the front, so very nice reaction there right away from Gypsy. That could have been disastrous.
Yeah, this is such a hard position to get out of as Terran. You have so many goons sitting on the high ground, and then you also have that angle where they come through the bottom side. Even if they do get choked up, it's still just annoying to deal with. The Observer spotted the drop too, so he's going to know it's coming. So this is, I think this is a great position for OyA despite losing those workers. Now the dropship, okay, it is in range of the Observer. I was like, there's no way that Observer doesn't see that, but there's no reaction from OyA actually. Okay, now he's moving into position and may be able to snipe it.
It's like he's in between. Yeah, he's in between trying to get that dropship, trying to deny the third or slow it down. And Gypsy patiently pushing towards. We finally have cannons. We have a 4th Nexus from OyA. So everything's standard. He just has a lot more units than you'd expect at an earlier time. And there's a drop, 1 tank. But OyA did see it, so he's perfectly prepared. There's a cannon here. He's just targeting probes. Gypsy is, where he gets 3 with 1 shell. Dropship unfortunately goes down. That was still maybe like 6, 7 probes, and I mean, really, it was just to. I think it's utilizing the dropship on top of getting some harassment done to distract OyA from the front, so he can take this base a little bit uncontested.
Yeah, and the drop was okay. Like, it did decent amounts of damage, but now Gypsy will be able to secure this 3rd base. But behind this, OyA has taken a 4th base of his own, and we know the Arbiter is in production, so that's going to be about a minute longer maybe. So 14 minutes we're going to be looking for first Arbiter, 15 minutes first stasis, 16 minutes-ish first recall, and Gypsy of course is aware of that, and I'm sure he'll be pushing for the 16-minute mark. So I don't expect to see like a recall anytime soon, but both players need to start ramping up their production because a 200-200 fight is going to be imminent. And we know Gypsy's going to have a very strong army because he's going to have those 2-1 upgrades. And I think OyA kind of just started his forge like a minute ago, so he's going to be behind in upgrades.
And there's some more Vulture movement, getting some nice harassment done here. And I got to mention, one of the strongest features of Gypsy's TVP is his vessel usage. Like, yeah. I was watching him practice before this match. He was playing against Dragon, and he goes out with the 2-1 push or 3-2 push, and Dragon is patiently waiting, doesn't really want to engage until he can get a good concave. And in that time, Gypsy has 2 or 3 vessels constantly scanning, looking for those Arbiters. Eventually, EMPs all of them, and it's a situation where Protoss has this max army that's completely useless because without High Templars, without stasis, you can't really engage. So OyA actually taking a 5th base, and it's one of the ones near the middle of the map, which is a little bit risky. And Gypsy already has 2-1. You can see still ramping up in production. No Zealot speed quite yet. That's usually one of the later upgrades you get as Protoss. And there's the first vessel already out, gathering energy there for Gypsy. And I mean, this is a lot of gateways, but still no other main for OyA. Not like he's still not max. Gypsy has done a good job harassing and slowing down OyA's economy here.
Well, I saw that energy on the Arbiter was at like 105, so that means he needs like 50 more seconds to actually have recall potential. And for now, there's really not much defense in Gypsy's main, but as you stated, 2-1's already done. Because the game is kind of awkward right now, and because he's not maxed out, he may not go for a push immediately. He may just wait for 3-2. But he does need to be careful because recall could be coming any moment. For now, he's just laying minefields all over the center of the map. And OyA behind this, he's expanding everywhere. There's another Vulture attack to mid-right trying to deny this 5th base. Oh, he does kill it. Wow.
So that's actually huge. And now OyA, this is why you don't want to take that middle base basically ever. Now OyA is in an awkward position because he's gotta, like, he's still not maxed and he doesn't have another gateway farm. And Gypsy is approaching that max, and he's trading off these vultures to get more tanks. It's going to be an even stronger maxed army with 3-2. So engagements are not going to go in OyA's favor. He's got to really bank on these arbiters getting something done.
Yeah, Arbiter shows itself. Now, Gypsy may think, okay, it just came out, but we know that's not the case. It actually almost has double stasis available. So Gypsy's going to need to get some nice EMPs on it if he wants to nullify that Arbiter. And I like how you mentioned Gypsy's vessel usage, because not only does he clearly have the best vessel usage, he builds more than any other. Like, he doesn't just build one, he builds 2 or 3, even sometimes 4. And this is the move out. It looks like he actually only has 1 vessel this time around, but this is such a strong army, and OyA isn't even maxed out.
Yeah, OyA's not maxed out. He doesn't have like the follow-up production to engage and then re-max either. So he's got to be very careful with how he engages here against Gypsy. Gypsy, what?
Those mines?
Oh, the mines dragging into the army. Unfortunately, none go into like the main army, and looks like that was a scan. Is this a recall?
Yeah, it looks like this is a recall. You could see that oh my gosh, there was a vessel. Why was it over there? It was just a random vessel over in the center of the map. It's just sitting there. It's like, whoa, what's up, bro? You want to try and get in here? No, you're not going to. And that one does not have the energy. And because Gypsy always builds vessels so quickly, he even has a second EMP available. And this is just perfect play from Terran. Now, yep, this is what we're talking about. There's the
carrier switch.
Yeah, the carrier switch. And Gypsy knows this, so I think he just scanned and he knows this is coming. And that means this is 12 supply that Protoss does not have in their army. It's just dead weight right now. If he wants to attack, now's the time to go. Oh, are you serious? He gets another EMP.
And this is going to be an army without stasis, and there's no other arbiters. Looks like there's one, but that was stasis recently. And Gypsy's going to go. He's got to be careful not to fight low ground and high ground. Looks like half of his tanks are on the high ground, and there's a lot of vulture support. Looks like an arbiter doesn't have enough energy here, so this is going to be terrible for OyA. It's just Dragoons. The concave is good, but you can see they don't do anything. And OyA's forced into a full retreat. Gypsy only lost about 30 supply there, which he should be remaking instantly, and you can see OyA can't remax.
There's no energy for OyA, and you just... Gateway Man is just a fact. It does not beat 3-2 Terran. It doesn't even beat 2-1 Terran unless you have Storm. And you saw the Templar even bled off, so I don't even know if it has Storm. So this push, honestly, is probably unkillable. All that Gypsy needs to do is make sure there's no deadly recall and make sure that somehow 2 carriers don't overwhelm his Goliath. He's pushing into the 5th base. That's 100% dead. There's a 15 supply lead for OyA or for Gypsy right now. I think OyA's best chance is try and backstab and make the game weird so he can slowly build up that carrier count.
Yeah, if Gypsy keeps pushing here, he will be able to kill the 5th and 4th. So OyA's best option is to go for that 4th base that Gypsy just took. It looks like Gypsy is well aware. He's not really committing his entire army to kill base, which is nice. He's regrouping in the middle. He's mixing in more Goliaths. He's expecting that carrier switch. And we do have +1 for the air for OyA. And I mean, we see nothing towards Gypsy's force. Looks like we have an engagement here. Again, the Arbiter dies this time without even using a stasis. We have 1 stasis here, but it only gets 3 tanks. OyA's army is getting split here. And it's a lot of gateway units, but again, the gateway units just don't do that well against 3-2 mech.
Yeah, and now Gypsy's even building an eBay. I don't know why exactly. I guess maybe he lost it, but floating buildings with your army, I mean, messes up the AI of the goons. There's the first carriers. He's gonna lose the vessels, but not a big deal because his army is just so huge, and of course vessels aren't even the greatest versus carriers anyways. But those tanks are isolated. Like, I think OyA could pounce on this, and he's going to try it. You can see Gypsy scrambling across the map, though.
Yep, it just has too much here, and reinforcements, even bringing a vessel for additional detection. The observer at the front, gonna get picked off. We have 2 carriers. He's gonna go for the counter, but with Gypsy's army already here, it's not really gonna do anything. It's gonna just lose this entire army. He's already lost the 5th base, and I mean, Gypsy's just defending perfectly, and I mean, OyA's running out of options here. He's gonna pretty soon be adding a third and fourth carry, but just not enough time, and Gypsy wins this game, OyA with the GG.
Yep, GG comes out, and nicely done from Gypsy there. I think OyA's play was fine. It's just once you get everything EMP'd, you flat out can't win. You just can't. The tanks are too strong, and I mean, it just happens sometimes. Gypsy was on top of it with his scans, and you can see the result there. There was no engagement that OyA could take that was favorable for him, and that just happens sometimes. And so you were talking about crucial game one for Gypsy. Well, he's got it now, and I kind of agreed with your statement, and also I agreed because I feel like because of how unusual OyA's style is, if you lose the first one, I don't think you're gonna in the moment figure out how to beat him in game 2, 3, and 4. So I think that was a crucial win there for Gypsy.
Yeah, it looked very strong with the vulture movement. Like we've seen Gypsy in basically almost all his matches. He has a moment where he gets to the natural third with vultures, and that chaos, like he's able to multitask better than his opponent. He did this against Terror, even did this against Mihu. Now he's doing it against Protoss. It's just a moment where he really shines in the game, and that did a lot of damage to OyA. OyA basically never maxed out this game, and that's pretty rare for Protoss on 5 bases to never max out.
Yeah, and he didn't even get a 5th base like at another main where, you know, you're building like an extra 10 gates where you have like flank potential. I mean, he just never had flank potential. He just had to go head on without stasis, and you just can't win from that scenario. I did like OyA's play in the beginning with the Goon Contain, and I was watching it and I was like, oh man, have I faced this many times, and how hard it is to actually get your 3rd base. I think the dropship play, even though it didn't get a lot of kills, drawing all those units back was nice move from Gypsy there to allow him to get his 3rd base. And now I'm not sure whose pick Ascension was, but we're going to be going into game 2. Okay, we were informed that Ascension was actually picked by Gypsy. I find that to be surprising. But second map is going to be Aztec. Yes, Aztec. Now you're talking about how hard this map is for Terran. I think if this was somebody like Terror, who likes to, you know, harass a lot, likes to go drops, he is multifaceted, isn't just necessarily a 2-1, I think I would really like Terror's chances here. But for Gypsy, of course I like his chances in general because 2-1 is so strong, but definitely doesn't seem to fit his playstyle as much.
Yeah, this is not a great map for it. Min are only 3rd, 4th kind of far away. Going up to 3-2 is less likely on this map. Probably going to see a 2-1, though we could still see a 3-2. But the thing is, I think OyA, I mean, he could also go 12 Nexus on this map. It's going to be harder to rush, so you have to go up that small ramp. Rush distances are longer. But OyA, one of these games, we're going to see a proxy, and it could be this one.
It could be this one. I mean, you have the inverted ramp. I mean, it's just a nightmare to deal with, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see it. And you said earlier, OyA is not one of these middle-of-the-road players. He's all or nothing. It's going to be 12 Nexus, or it's going to be like Proxy 2 gate, or it's going to be like a 7-7 gate, you know? So it wouldn't surprise me if he has something planned for Aztec, but at the same time, because of how good this map is, just for standard play and getting into carriers, I feel like you would be kind of wasting your like Proxy 2 gate, for example, doing it on this map. So I hope he saves it for a different one, but we'll see what he's come up with.
Yeah, no, Aztec, it's a map I'm pretty sure Gypsy doesn't have a ton of experience on. It's not like normal maps. So the inverted ramp, it's a little bit awkward. Although taking your 3rd is not too difficult because it's on a high ground as well. We'll see, but I think, like you said, OyA, just based on the map, has a much better chance this time around, and he could mix it up. I don't think we'll see Reaver. Haven't really seen him go Reaver a lot in this matchup.
Yeah, every time I tune into his stream, I just don't remember him ever doing it. So I don't even think Gypsy really even needs to account for that. As you stated, obviously Gypsy watches OyA a lot. I mean, he watches a lot of players in general, so I'm sure he's up to date and he knows exactly what OyA is doing. And you could tell he did because he scanned exactly when the carrier started. So he was aware of exactly how OyA was intending to play. And I still kind of can't get over that vessel placement. Like, why was it in the center of the map? It was just there, and he catches the EMP or catches the recall. Just fantastic there. But OyA, I don't think he necessarily has to do anything different. Just avoid the EMP, and he would have been fine. I mean, even if he only caught like 5 tanks in stasis with 2 or 3 of them, I think he could have had an even trade and bought time to get his carrier count up. But with all that said, finally our players are ready. We're going into game 2. Gypsy up 1-0. All right, in the top middle, our Protoss hopeful. It is OyA.
And in the bottom right, we have... I'm confused. Oh, we have Gypsy in the color red.
Yeah, so Aztec, again, this is one of those maps that I have bad memories on. As you stated, 3rd base, first off, mineral only. 4th base is extremely far. Of course, you can take the low ground, but you come in single file, and it is very hard to reinforce there. So this may be one of those maps. If we're ever going to see Gypsy like factory flood, like 10 fact on a +1 timing, I don't think we're going to, but if we do, this would be the map you're going to see it on. But he does have good spawns for potential drop play, so he may end up going for that. Now, we don't see proxy gates this time, so it's not going to be that. We are just waiting to see if it's going to be 12 Nexus, I guess.
And Gypsy, I mean, we saw he scanned, he sniped, and he hunted for those arbiters with his vessels, and he was able to get those stasis off. And it just from there, OyA had just no options. So again, vulture harassment and vessel usage are 2 areas where I think Gypsy, more than any other foreign Terran, really stands out.
Yeah, that is totally true. As a Terran player, I always watch the vessel usage, obviously because it's very good, but also at the same time I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, this guy has more tanks than me, and he has 3 vessels. Where's he getting the gas, man? I don't understand how he has all the gas to support all that, but he always does. And this time around, we're going to see something that we don't see that often. It's going to be a gasless expand. So it looks like Gypsy going to pull something out of Mihu's playbook.
So gasless expand on Aztec makes sense. You are working with a reverse ramp, so if you just take the expansion and make a bunker with Marines at the front, you are defended against early aggression. Of course, we don't really see gasless expands anymore. Basically, once Terran started going for a factory expand with a bunker anyway, Rax expand kind of went out of the meta for a little bit there. And we do see 15 command center here from Gypsy. He actually scouts OyA first, so he doesn't even make that Marine, just cancel it right away.
Yeah, and this is the dream scenario for you. He realizes he's not getting scouted first either, which means you can see he was blinking the racks and canceled it. It's like, hey, you should have had a probe here by now. You don't, so that means you went to the other spawn. That means he's going to get away with Depot before Marine. He's going to get away with Refinery before Marine. This is as streamlined of a gasless expand as you can possibly get.
Yeah, now even sees no Zealot was made, so with no Zealot, there's no pressure until the first Dragoon. And I mean, economically, Gypsy is in a very strong position. Of course, it is eventually recovered somewhat by OyA. Wait, is that a second gateway?
Oh my god, it is. He's going to go for a 2-gate, like 10-18 type of play versus, well, I don't know if he was expecting this. He may have been thinking like, okay, it's hard to actually expand on this map, going for 1 fact. So I'm going to go for 2-gate blind. Now that he sees that the nat's already taken, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he proxies like a 3rd and 4th gate and just goes really hard on it. But it looks like that probe is actually just going to turn around.
Right, so even if he doesn't, you still get 6 Dragoons out when the first tank is there, and that tank won't have siege for maybe like a few seconds. And you can, I mean, it's going to be dicey for Gypsy to defend either way, because he's going to have to repair with 6 SCVs, and eventually the Dragoons will just start targeting the SCVs. If OyA commits, of course, to going 6 Dragoons, then Nexus. And looks like Gypsy's trying to scout the Nexus timing. Doesn't see it quite yet, but this is a normal timing for the Nexus anyway. And
it's too late. It's too late. That's going to trigger eBay, and that means that this is going to be siege mode follow-up. Well, I mean, it's going to be siege mode anyways, but Gypsy knows something is already up. He may not suspect that it's DT, but 100%. Oh, unfortunately for him, he's going to get his SCV intercepted, and now he's completely in the dark as to what's going on.
And there's the Nexus from OyA. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Gypsy. Gypsy's going to have to be on top of his repair. And I'm a little bit concerned. I don't know how many Marines there in the bunker. If it's only 2, the Dragoons, once they get in large enough number, can just ignore and start targeting the SCVs.
That is true, and you can see that Gypsy realizes it, so he builds an additional Marine. Now, this could signal to OyA like, okay, well, this might be a 2-fact push. We, of course, know that's not the case, but...
oh, man, 4 Dragoons. He's got to go. He's got to be quick.
Well, he actually needs to pull another one. He was not expecting 4. He doesn't even realize he got to do another one, man. It's so close. Oh, he pulls a Marine to try and buy time. But you see, OyA did not fall for that. That was so close, guys. You can't even believe how close this game was to just being over. Luckily, that 5th SCV and 4th SCV get there in time, and he is going to save it for now.
Okay, so it looks like OyA only went for 4 Dragoons off this 2 gateway. If this was 6, this is the moment where he can start targeting the SCVs and ignore the bunker fire. And he's going to go with 4, but with 4, you need 2 volleys. Looks like it's 3 Marines in the bunker. He is able to force some SCVs away, but again, this is not... we're not in critical danger here as Gypsy. And Gypsy actually, he's already making the 2nd factory. Looks like the tank with siege is done. And OyA took a 3rd off of only 4 Dragoons, but he's perfectly fine.
Yeah, well, this is one of those games where you can double expand because you know Terran had to respect the fact that you had a delayed Nexus. It really looks like you're going for something like DT or some type of all-in play. So going for the mind game here, putting down a double Nexus is great. Comsat's coming in, and he's only going to have 2 scans, so he's going to have to make a deduction on what he sees. Does it look like this guy skimped out on something, or does it look normal? He may suspect that the 3rd Nexus is already up because he actually missed the support bay coming in.
So Gypsy's gonna scan, but he does see the support bay, so you don't really know if there's a 3rd based on that alone. And he's actually going into a nice follow-up with the fast +1. He's already got the 2nd and 3rd factories, and Reaver is in production, but I think Gypsy will be prepared for that. And I mean, I gotta mention, that was maybe 1 or 2 Dragoon shots from this game being over. So yeah. Gypsy saw the Dragoons coming. He only pulled 3, and that almost cost him the game. Lucky for him, he tried to bait the Dragoon fire with the Marine, and OyA didn't bite. He was targeting the bunker, and he was able to bring the 4th and 5th SCVs just barely in time.
Yeah, seriously, just barely in the nick of time. You can see that supplies are now starting to favor Protoss just slightly, but 3-fact production for Gypsy. And even though OyA never strikes me as a Reaver player, with the support bay already done, he is actually going for Reaver play this time around. You can see there's already 4 Goliaths out, Starport already done. He's still going to be going into that 2-1, so I expect this to get shut down. And even though he cut SCVs, get these scans up, he doesn't have to build turrets anymore because he has so many Goliaths right now. So this was a nice trade for him. Now, he's got to be careful. He may not realize that this is 4 Goliaths. And they do have range already. Okay.
And Gypsy perfectly defended here. I wonder, do you think... I mean, eventually you do take a 3rd with this anyway. I don't think Gypsy's the type to go for a 2-base push, even with +2. But this is a pretty good map for that. And what do you think? It's going to be 3-base or 2-base?
I think it's always 3-base, even though it's a mineral only. I mean, Terran, you just really need the 3rd base, even if it doesn't have gas. Now here comes that shuttle again. Okay, the Reaver unloads first, and he takes a big hit there. He may... Okay, he almost killed one of the Goliaths, but not... doesn't actually kill it. And the shuttle is now... I think it lost 20 of its health, so it has to be exceptionally careful now.
You see a starport for Gypsy already done. Gypsy's adding additional factories. Oh yeah, only now on 4 gateways. It's actually a very low gateway count. And Observer dies as well.
I think he may actually be starting to go into carriers, and the reason I say that is because that pylon position, just like in the Mihu versus Chao GG game, that one by the mineral only, by the minerals at the bottom left, that is 100% a Stargate positioning pylon. But not going to be the case this time around because we do see more gateways coming in. And surprisingly, this is a 5 fact. It may even actually be 7 fact because of how fast. Yep, there it is. 7 fact with 2-1. So there's your answer, Seriosity. We are going to see a 2-base play, and you really don't see that often these days.
There was about a 3-month window when Flash first pulled out the 2-base 2-1 with 7 factories that you saw it all the time. But eventually it just got Protoss started to learn how to deal with it, and we didn't see it anymore. But this is definitely a good map for it. And we see Gypsy again with the Vulture harassment, getting so much economic damage done. And I mean, you got several probes there, even got a Dragoons, and some of the Vultures escaped. And just being out on the map is really annoying for OyA. I'm really concerned that OyA has such a low gateway count, and we don't really see fast tech or anything. I'm not really sure why it's so low.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either, but that Reaver went, I think, unscouted. He's not aware that it's just sitting outside of his base, so he's got to be careful coming in right now. Oh, those Vultures are going to bleed off. The Goliaths need to focus down that shuttle so that these cannot escape. Remember, the shuttle's pretty low, so he loses, I think, 1 Reaver there, but he does get off some big shots. Going to bleed off a couple of goons, too. He also lost his Goliaths, and, you know, the shuttle with Pro Micro can be very annoying if you're not able to actually kill it. You can see desperately Gypsy wants to kill these 2 goons. Any supply he can get for free is obviously going to help his push immensely.
That's going to pick off these 2 Dragoons. OyA is buying himself time. Gypsy, I mean, it's going to have 7 factories. Gateway explosion for OyA in the main now. But again, he's not going to have any tech. There's just going to be gateway units. He's eventually going to go into shuttle with Storm, but I don't think he's going to have enough time. Gypsy's push is going to hit in about 45 seconds here. He does have +1 at least, Gypsy, on 2-1, if not right now, pretty soon. There's the archives just finishing now, so it's actually going to be a long time before he has any Storm.
Well, okay, he runs into some mines, and one of them connects. Luckily, the second one doesn't connect and get a killing move onto those goons. Observer is going to be taken out again. I don't think OyA realizes that this is all in 2-base, because for now this could have been like a floated command center. In fact, that's command center going down at bottom left right now. Okay, OyA is going to go for a counterattack, but yeah, there's just too many units on that high ground. And you were talking about how Flash was playing this type of style. Oh no, he's going to run into mines. Oh, big hits.
OyA's in big trouble here. He's actually taking a 4th, and he doesn't realize the threat. He doesn't know what this is quite yet. Gypsy's done a good job of actually killing the observers. We have a lot of Vultures moving out, but I don't think this is the play for Gypsy. You don't really want to harass anymore when you're going for this. Laying the mines is good, but you're trading off some of these Vultures, which is really hurting your push. Although if the mines do detonate and you get a lot of damage done on Dragoons, they are worthwhile. And Gypsy curiously taking the farther to defend 3rd, but I guess when you have an army advance like this, it doesn't matter if you take the farther 3rd or the mineral only. You can just defend it either way. He's got to be a little bit careful with counters, but he has nice mine coverage, and I mean, he's ahead on supply, and Protoss doesn't really have any tech. The tank count is actually looking a little bit low though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is the tank count was like 9 or something. I mean, that's exceptionally low for somebody like Gypsy, because, you know, you can have like 16 at this level. It's still 11, still quite low. Saw a Templar in that army. Was this a move? Command, what's he doing? You gotta be careful. That shuttle has Templar in it. One is going, no, he doesn't, but he still sieged very late. Where are Gypsy's units? OyA has a 20 supply lead right now.
Oh man, the move command into the army, and he still manages to push through. There's no zealots left. It's mostly Dragoons against tank. Gypsy really, well, that was a big misstep here. He's got to be careful not to overextend with these tanks. He's got to reinforce right away with the Vultures. I don't see any movement on the map. We see Vultures, Zealots from OyA coming in, and with the Zealot support, the Dragoons will be able to kill a tank. Gypsy's got to run away, save as many tanks as he can. He's still in a good position. He just can't lose these tanks. He's sieging here. Where are the Vultures?
Oh, he needs to focus fire those goons. If you're just gonna accept your loss here, you need to focus fire those goons down like that. He ends up taking down a lot of the goons, but Protoss, that was a great trade for them. I would take this any day of the week as a Protoss player, eliminating 90% of the tanks. He scans and sees it's still only 8 gate though. He scans and sees there's still no Stargate. So even though he lost his whole army, you got to remember, Terran still already has 7 factories. He's got his 3rd base. He can take the mineral only behind this. He's in a still fine position. But OyA does now have 5 bases.
Yeah, 5 bases. Gypsy's taking his 4th though. And we are seeing a switch eventually into carriers with the +1 being researched. The 8 gateways and the lack of economy here for OyA is the only thing that, I mean, OyA should be running away with this game, but with how the engagement went. But Gypsy has enough vultures production to be annoying here. And the thing is, when you kill off the Dragoons, its Zealots are all that's left. The mines become a lot more efficient and effective because, again, low Dragoon count, even if you have only vultures, like they can get so much damage done very quickly.
Yeah, well, here comes another attempted vulture harassment into the probe line. Yeah, he's gonna run away, and I think that's exactly what he should do. He needs to scan again and see that the cybernetics is spinning. This is going to be a carrier switch, and with 3 or 4 gases now for OyA, he can easily support it. But as Zero pointed out, in the main, there was only 2 probes on gas. Not sure how many are actually mining at the natural, so he's kind of gas starved, honestly. Okay, luckily he's fixed it in the main, but you can still see his gas is quite low, and that Stargate was blinking.
Yeah, we actually see an insane position here for Gypsy in the middle map. When do you ever see Terran at 15 minutes with 5 tanks, like just hanging around in the middle of the map?
Yeah, you don't. It's very unusual, but he's confident in his position. And he should, because he's actually up in supply. I don't know if I would ever be sitting in the center map with 160 supply, but he's feeling like he can risk being here. But that minefield, he's got to be careful, man, because there's double shuttle. A Zealot bomb could easily ruin his day.
He's got to be very careful not to siege in that minefield. He's also got to be careful with the storms, not to clump up his units. And you see Gypsy checked his upgrades right now. He sees 3-2 is almost done. He's about to be maxed. So it's actually the fleet beacon isn't even started there for OyA, so OyA's in a very vulnerable spot here.
Yeah, and slowly Gypsy is creeping to top left, but actually I don't necessarily think he should go. Okay, OyA, is he going to engage here? This would be doomsday for him if he engages right there. He picks off the vessel. That's great, but this is so much Terran, and there's no AoE. He desperately needs storm in those shuttles. There's one.
Those are nice storms, but again, the Zealots just melting. Dragoons all the way in the back, not really getting anything done, and now one of the shuttles has gone down. And again, Gypsy is about to be ready to just unsiege an A move, and he has the upgrades now. He's on 3-2 OyA. I think it's only a +2. Main and natural mining out. So Gypsy, he did take the mineral only just now. He's still gonna have a decent economy to back this up, and we do see OyA is just gonna have to forfeit this base in the middle. This is why you never see the middle base taken. And again, OyA doesn't have a gateway farm on the other side of the map, so he's only gonna produce out of his main here.
Yeah, and he realizes he can't switch to carriers because there's just too much Terran right now. So he's putting down gateways, and that means that Gypsy probably is just gonna push and kill this 5th base, probably push to top left, and once those 2 bases fall, where's OyA's econ? Main's mined out, Nat's gonna be mined out any moment, and the mineral only is one of those, you know, very low mineral bases. So he's going to be basically not mining if Gypsy kills either one of those bases.
Yeah, Gypsy should probably take the middle base as a 5th now, as he has complete map control, and he's about to kill OyA's own 5th base. He's playing this patiently, but I think Gypsy doesn't realize how far ahead he is. Nice Goliath usage to snipe the observers. He's got to be careful with the shuttles. It's like no storm there, only Zealots, and I mean everything's melting for OyA here. Just you can't engage 3-2 mech without splash, and we're seeing what happens when you intend to do that. And again, there's a GG from OyA, and Gypsy wins game number 2.
Yep, and nicely done again from Gypsy. The 7-fact timing, well, I thought it was going to be a 7-fact timing. I mean, he moved out, but he didn't commit to it, and behind it just took a 3rd and 4th base, and it was genius. And unfortunately, OyA just didn't ever have the econ. Like, he was behind in supply the whole game, actually. Did you notice that? He only had 8 gates also.
So maybe it's a byproduct of the openers, like Rax Expand. It's actually very strong economically because he basically cut all corners upon scouting first. And then the Vulture Harassment, additionally from Gypsy later on at the 3rd, did a lot of damage. And Gypsy, with the 7-fact production, was able to stay ahead on supply. The engagement was still dicey because he only had 11 tanks, but after that first engagement, we saw Gypsy with the upgrades just overwhelm OyA.
Yeah, I mean, Gateway Man, it's just not a thing at high level. You've got to have the AoE. You don't necessarily have to have stasis that everybody has, but you got to have Templars at least, or stasis, one or the other. You don't even have to necessarily have both. So OyA G, he's going to need to turn it around very quickly, because all of a sudden he's down 2-0, and each game he had no answer to Gypsy's army. So we're going to go into a break, and then we'll come back and we'll find out whether Gypsy can close it out, or is OyA G going to start staging his comeback. right, we're back, guys, and we are potentially one game away from being done with the round of 8. Gypsy up 2-0, looks very dominant. His pushes seem unstoppable. I mean, his EMPs are great too. And OyA, for now, he just has no answer. He almost won with the 4 goons in the beginning, but once it's gotten to mid and late game, he just has no answer to Gypsy's play. So he definitely needs your energy, chat, if you want to pull out a victory for EU.
Yeah, it's looking tough and grim for OyA in the mid game. And I think Gypsy just has a scouting report on OyA. We haven't seen any of the early game shenanigans I was expecting. And with his back against the wall, maybe he's going to go to that. But Gypsy should definitely be expecting something like this. And I mean, we'll see what Gypsy can do. Just stabilizing the matchup seems to be, I mean, you just lead in a direction where the game goes into mid to late game, and Gypsy is comfortable there, and he seems to be most comfortable there, and he just wins with I don't know.
Yeah, just superior play in the mid game, and it's going to be his pick now. He's picked Good Night. Now I have to say, if he loses here, 4th map is going to be Heartbreak Ridge. So even though it is 2-0, it could get ugly very quickly, because if OyA wins here, I'm not saying Heartbreak Ridge, Terran can't win, because obviously they can, but it's an extremely tough map. And then all of a sudden momentum would be back on OyA's side. So he's not out of it just yet, but obviously he must win here, otherwise he is done. And unfortunately for him, I have to say, I think Good Night is probably Gypsy's best map. And it does not have all those high grounds and stuff like Revolver does, where Carrier is just super deadly. It's going to be really tough again to stop the incoming 2-1 push.
And this is, of course, for the last spot in the semifinals. And Gypsy would be his first time there. OyA, I think he's been there maybe 3 times already. So Gypsy looking as strong as ever this BSO. And I mean, he's already beaten Mihu, who looked like one of the favorites heading into the tournament, and now he's up 2-0 against OyA, who's not the top, but definitely one of the top Protosses overall in the scene, and looked dominant in both games.
Yeah, and he would be one of the few Terrans to actually make it to the round of 4, because as everybody knows, the Terran scene for a long time was, you know, Terror and Dandy, and before them it's just Koget, really, right? So he would be one of the few Terrans to actually reach the round of 4 if he makes it there. And OyA, as you can see from his profile statistics, he had continuously moved up, went from Ghostly League to round of 16 to round of 8 to round of 4 to 3rd. I couldn't remember if he got 3rd last season, but you can see he broke the streak last season, getting 8th place. But I thought it was his destiny this time around to make it into the finals, but he's looking to fix that mistake that happened in season 12. I'm trying to think, what's the last map? Okay, forget that. We're gonna get into the third game. The third game, no, actually I think Vertebrae was vetoed, but Good Night is the 3rd map. This is Gypsy's pick. He's on the brink of winning here. If he closes it out, OyA's done, and Gypsy's gonna move on. So let's see if he can do it. Okay, in the bottom, or sorry, in the top left, in the blue, down 2-0, it is OyA.
And in the bottom left, 1 game away from the round of 4, we have Gypsy.
Yeah, so I do not think we're going to see Gasos expand again. I think that was a one-time move on Aztec, and he played it beautifully, clutched it with the SCV. And there we go. This is going to be the map where we're going to have shenanigans. And this is a ballsy move, because this is your tournament life right here. It's just going to be a forward gate, so it's not like center of the map gate, but this is going to be an aggro build from OyA finally.
Yeah, and OyA, I mean, forward gate indicates some kind of Zealot aggression. If it's 2 or 3 Zealots, we don't know, but definitely something is going to happen. And they are adjacent spawns, so Zealots will get to Gypsy pretty fast. But again, I gotta say, Gypsy, on top of the Vessel and the Vulture movement, Gypsy has some of the best Marine control out there. Just, I don't know if this is background in maybe some MOBA type game, but his Marine control is unparalleled. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are unparalleled. I've been talking about it for a long time. He has the best SCV control. I mean, you brought it up a couple weeks ago where, like, what, SCVs caught your goons? He, like, single-handedly killed all of your goons just because of the SCV control. I mean, this guy's micro, not just his macro, is amazing. Luckily for OyA this time around, he's going to get a first scout off, and any time he can buy to get this SCV off of the barracks is going to be a benefit to him.
You see Gypsy instantly pulls, doesn't want to deal with this. We see the the pylon being added, so no gas right away. Oh, probe got stuck there a little bit on the barracks, so that's actually pretty annoying. The probe is actually already low HP. And we have Gypsy's barracks going to be complete. He's going to make a depot right next to it, so he's going to have nice Sim City. Zealot should be on its way pretty soon, so it's going to be a really fast Zealot. Gypsy did get scouted first. He doesn't know what spawn OyA's in, but he knows he's at least either top left or bottom right. And it looks like, unfortunately, he's going to go to bottom right.
I think this might actually be a double scout, because I thought I saw an SCV go to top left, and it went to the low ground, so that may, of course, that should be a bunker. But, okay, it is not going to be a double scout. I mean, I've never seen it in Terran versus Protoss, but I thought he clicked up there. Behind this, the depot obviously has that Sim City, and he's not cutting Marines here. He's going to have two in time. Oh, he has 2 on gas. Whoa.
I don't know if this is an oversight, like he just forgot to pull a second one, or if he's actually going to go into something aggressive here. He sees a Zealot. He targets the probe right away. This is really what you want to do. The probe has much lower health. You really want to kill it as soon as you can. And looks like the Zealot able to delay the factory. Every delay here is huge because there's going to be more Zealots incoming. Looks like 1 SCV goes down. Zealots are already in the yellow, but the Marines haven't taken any shots. You can see Gypsy splitting off the Marines and only takes 1 hit on 1 Marine. And I mean, that's actually pretty easy defense. He's gotta be careful not to, like, he's gotta be careful because 1 Zealot and 1 probe do actually beat 3 Marines unless you have perfect control. We have OyA trying to expand here. No block here from Gypsy. Looks like there's micro going out at Gypsy's base, and looks like the Zealot doesn't even have a kill and it's already red. So I think OyA is dead if he expands.
Well, Gypsy has a lot of gas. He continued to mine that gas, so this was a bit of an oversight from him right there, unless he's going to put down like a starport or something. But he's not that type of player, so even though these Zealots didn't do the damage he was wanting, I don't... Whoa. Did he just SCV pull? He did just SCV pull, and he drilled on the inner line, and OyA has no idea this is coming. Okay, he does. Shield battery, that's exactly what you need. However, how's he going to save the gateway? And that's his only gateway.
That's his only gateway. This is why you don't go Nexus right away. You need that second gateway. You need those units. You need that production. And I was thinking maybe Gypsy's going to go for a later push, maybe an FD. Looks like the Dragoon. The bunker is in a nice position. SCV's already here. Looks like the second Dragoon just popped, but it's getting targeted by Marines. It's already pretty low. Oh, man. Probe being pulled, shield battery not utilized to save that first Dragoon, and this is just over.
It is done. The Marines, there's just too many. The shield battery's great, but the SCVs catch the goon again, and there it is. GG, the Big Gyp. He's gonna make it to the round of 4 for the first time, and he gets revenge from last season.
Okay, I gotta mention, I was casting with Gypsy, and we saw Ultra play some Protoss on Aztec, and the Protoss did the exact same opener, and Gypsy saw Ultra pull SCVs and go Marine Vulture SCV against basically 1 Goon, 1 Zealot, and just crushed. So he utilized that same reaction. And I was thinking, like, as soon as I saw OyA was not making a second gateway and his Zealots did nothing, because his Zealots literally did nothing, right? Yeah. He didn't kill any Marines. He didn't delay the factory. The game was basically over. It's just the gateway is exposed. Even if you can buy time, like, you're just gonna lose that gateway and you have no production, and then eventually lose the Nexus in the game, man. I mean, that was 1 swift blow, and Gypsy comes out of game 3 very convincingly winning this series, I gotta say.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those games where OyA didn't account for like okay, for example, when I play versus what OyA is playing against, my Marines don't get hit 1 time. They get hit a lot. And he didn't account for the Marines just not dying, right? Like, normally maybe Terran rolls up with 2 less Marines, and maybe he could have held it. But when you're playing versus Gypsy, who, I mean, you saw him. He knocked down the Zealot like to 70 to 25% health without getting hit once. Like, that just doesn't happen on the ladder often. And unfortunately, OyA just didn't account for that. And I mean, that was perfect reaction from Gypsy. And of course, the forward gate didn't help him, because even if he holds the push, I mean, he doesn't have any production anymore. So bit of unlucky placement there. But OyA, of course, he's an amazing player, and he'll be looking to come back next season. But this time around, the Flash, he's going to be moving into the round of 4.
Yeah, and it looked very good in all games. Basically, in all stages of the game, Gypsy looked stronger. And I mean, I gotta mention, it was 2 Marines, 1 SCV against 1 Zealot, 1 Probe. Usually, Terran, like the factory either gets delayed or you're losing Marines, and Gypsy somehow didn't get a factory delayed, didn't even take any hits on his Marines. That's got, like, because even if you get to Protoss base with, say, 5 Marines, if they're all like 8 HP, they're going to snipe them. But none of his Marines were low HP. He was able to get there with 5 Marines at 4 Marines at full HP and 1 that was hit once, and he killed 2 Zealots. That's just something you never see from that opening. Just never.
Yeah, literally just never. You come to my stream and what you'll see is me typing GG after I lose all my Marines in an instant. So nicely done from Gypsy. I mean, seriously, guys, like 2 seasons ago, not 2 seasons, but like 2 years ago, I made a comment like, how are you not S-man? And here he is dominating. Like, he's up to skill a lot. It's crazy. And it was 3-0. And like you said, it was domination across the board, every single facet of the game, just like yesterday where Zeke just crushed and Mihu just crushed. But this sets up for interesting matchups. We've got Zeke versus Mihu, Terran versus Zerg. We haven't even seen Mihu's versus Zerg, I don't think, at all, even in the show matches. So this will be exciting because
Played Babo.
Yeah, versus Babo. But Babo, he's great, but he doesn't play like Zeke. He's got good muta control like Zeke for sure, but it's not the same type of play. So it will be very interesting to see, because we know he's factory man in Terran versus Protoss 100%. I wonder if he's barracks man. I have a feeling he's not. But then we've got probably the matchup that a lot of people were waiting for. It's going to be Dewalt versus Gypsy. Dewalt has amazing versus Terran, and even when we had show matches between Dewalt and Koreans, when I was organizing the show matches, the Koreans even told us that they thought Dewalt had the best Protoss versus Terran, period, in the foreign scene. So Gypsy, he's going to have a really tough time versus Dewalt, and it's going to be probably his first versus Protoss test in quite a long time.
Yeah, Dewalt, I mean, for a while there, he was going up against Scan, and he was taking games off Scan. It's a big step up from OyA to Dewalt in PvT. Like, OyA's best matchup, I think it's probably PvZ. He kind of lacks the PvT, killer's instinct. But Dewalt doesn't have that. Dewalt's very strong, and gotta say, Dewalt definitely the favorite in the matchup. But Gypsy has shown something that we haven't seen from basically any foreign Terran since Remastered, basically.
Yeah, Gypsy is playing phenomenal these days. He looks unstoppable. I'm just say it outright. He looks unstoppable in a lot of the matchups, but he's got formidable opponents across the board. Regardless of who wins here or who loses, Gypsy's going to have a hard matchup, whether it's in the finals or in the third place match. And I mean, I don't think we could get better matchups for the quarterfinals, except for Bonnet, of course. Everybody wants to see Bonnet, but I am happy to see someone different for the first time make it into the semifinals. So I am happy for Zeke, and of course we get to see what the Chinese players can actually bring. Are they as good as people were saying them to be? And this is going to be amazing grand finals and third place match. And Zero, grand finals and third place match are next week, right? Like, there's not going to be a delay. Okay. Yeah, so semifinals on Saturday, and then we've got no break. Sunday is going to be grand finals and third place match, and grand finals best of 7, as you can see. Third place match going to be best of 5, so it's definitely going to be very exciting. And I think that's going to be it for us today, guys. We of course need to thank our sponsors, Esports Fund, the main sponsor. Thank you so much, and those cheer polls that they've been making for the Esports Fund and RCG has been hilarious. As I pointed out yesterday, I instantly sent that one to Artosis yesterday, and he gave me a big lol in all caps. And then we want to thank our Patreon supporters at the $100 level. It's Star Lover. Colonel level, $50 a month. It's going to be Zero Sum, Striker, and Grail. $30 level, Dez and Tupacalypse. And at $20 level, Nivioli, Cuz, Christian Eddington, Martin Harsmar, LML, and Lingen Pump, and all you other Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. And again, as I've stated numerous times, $10 or above, you get all those replays. You want to see how to execute TVP like a god like Gypsy, you can get that replay. You want to see how to play like Mihu, you can get that replay. You want to see how Ziki took down Boneth, you can get those replays. Just become a $10 supporter on Patreon. And is that it? You got any final words, Seriosity? Oh, of course, we got the shop, man. How can I forget? Super Gosu hat and the Bombastic underwear, man. What? Okay, and Zero informed me there's a 15% discount right now, but you got to input the code Teisagi. I don't know if he knows that it's actually Teiregi, but yeah, input Teisagi. You get 15% off any BSL items. You got anything else to add, Seriosity, before we log out here?
I just want to mention that this is setting up an insane semifinals and finals because Ziki, of course, before Remastered, maybe like 2015, and basically from when StarCraft 2 came out, Ziki was the top foreigner for a very long time. And I'm not talking about like the top foreigner, like he's winning tournaments here and there and he's consistently there. He was winning every single tournament. And then he came back briefly for 2017, but then just kind of disappeared until maybe like a year and a half ago. And now he's back in the semifinals. So a lot of history. Ziki as a player, just one of the strongest foreigners basically all time. And just nice to see him here with a chance to be in the final. Mihu, of course, is I guess a newcomer to our eyes, but someone who's competed at a very high level for a very long time. And then we have Gypsy, who, I mean, for those who know him, he's not like, it's not like he improved a lot in the past 6 months. This is who he is. He's just consistently showing it more now. And Dewalt, of course, basically outside of Bonnet, the strongest foreigner since StarCraft Remastered, I would say. And finally, with a shot here to make it into like the rare BSL champ that's not Bonnet, basically.
Yeah, a lot of storylines here. So definitely want to see which one comes to fruition. And in order to do that, you got to tune in next week. So for Seriosity, thank you so much. And we'll be back next week, Saturday and Sunday. Definitely tune in.
Okay. See you guys all next time.